Welcome, ladies. We're so
Yes.
glad you're here.
Hi, Cherie.
Hi, Cherie. And Catherine and Nikki, I know, is listening in.
There we
Chelsea,
go. Got some more joining.
Mina,
Veronica, I'm going to be seeing soon in Texas.
Monica.
Hi. Oh, good.
Amazing.
Great. And I'll keep an eye on some other people joining in the next few minutes and I'll let them in. Yeah, but we're so excited to be here tonight, ladies. Thank you so much for joining. I know we're in different hours depending on where you are on the map. So I know East Coast, it's 9 o'clock, West Coast, 6 p.m. But thank you for being here. So should we just jump in? Are you guys ready?
I say we go for it. Let's start out with, go ahead. You start out, Carrie.
Okay, sure. So I'll just make actually a few quick announcements. I know we have a bunch of new people on the call today that may not be familiar with Equip Her and kind of just what we're about. And I just wanted to give a really quick intro on exactly what Equip Her is. And it is a women's event that Pastor Wendy and I launched this April, focused on women in the business world. So the events, and we brought in different executives and leaders and entrepreneurs from all different avenues, all different sectors of business. And we had some great panel discussions and really everyone there that we spoke to just agreed that they were able to walk away with tangible things to implement into their career, regardless of what that career or what their title was. And then amongst that, we were also just able to establish an environment where community was made. So people were able to really network amongst each other and establish some awesome connections. And so we're going to do it again next year, April 15th and 16th out in Las Vegas at Pastor Wendy's church, Church LV. And it's going to be another great time. So if you guys are interested in just getting more details on what it's about, just feel free to type in the chat, send me details on conference, and we will be sure to get that out to you. And also after the conference, Pastor Wendy and I wanted to keep these conversations going. So we are featuring each month one of our awesome speakers. As you guys know, tonight it is April. April was an awesome speaker of ours at conference. Her session was one of the fan favorites. So we're also going to host another Equip Her Convo via Zoom next month with, we're hoping, Karina Cook. So once again, if you're interested in receiving the details on that, just type it in the chat. We'll send it over to you. So without further ado, I want to hand it over to Pastor Wendy, and then we can get started with April's session.
Awesome. Ladies, we're so happy that you're here. And just one thing that Carrie taught us in her amazing book, Thank You, Cancer, was how to be grateful. And so before we introduce April, we just wanted to have everyone turn on your chat and just take a minute really quick and type 3 things that you are thankful for today. What are 3 things that you are thankful for? I am thankful for this hat because I have a story of all stories, and I had to run in to take my daughter a phone, and I was trying a new Sephora pimple cream that was charcoal. And so I had it on my forehead, and I had to run into the courthouse in pajamas and charcoal pimple cream on my forehead 2 days ago. So I am happy for this cute hat my son designed today. It's getting me through the next couple of days. Tracy says that she's thankful for coffee, her car, and her kids. I love that. Nikki, her health, her family, and foundation. Yes, I'm assuming you mean makeup, but I mean, I guess it could be like a foundation in the Lord. We're happy for you too.
That's so great.
Let us know 3 things that you are thankful for. Monica is thankful for her sanity, her husband, and her dog. And she does have a very good dog. I'm very thankful for him too. Cherie is thankful for her church. It's amazing. Summer, her favorite season, and her family. Veronica is thankful for faith, family, including her dogs. Yes, amen. Yes, they are part of your family. And coffee. Yes. Natalie's for funny movies, shoes, and family. I like that. Thank you for throwing in shoes. And Chelsea, her partner, new neighbors, and Zoom. I totally agree, Chelsea. So grateful. Catherine, her community here in Washington, Redeeming Martha, her skincare, and Nespresso. Oh, I do love Nespresso. I recently got back into drinking coffee, so I'm also thankful for Nespresso. Carrie, what 3 things are you thankful for today?
Well, someone said the word dog, and so I definitely have to go along with that because mine is asleep right here. She's just so good. Like you would never even know she's here. So she's a good dog. And my friends are visiting in from Italy right now. So I'm super grateful for their friendship and just having them here. And I am grateful for everyone here tonight, and especially April, just sharing her wisdom tonight and her experiences and her story. I think we're all just going to learn a lot from her.
We really are. We really are. Oh, without further ado, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if everybody, before we can get started, just make sure you're muted. In the lower left-hand side, you should just see the little mute button. That would be really helpful. Yeah. And then I think, so yeah. So I think we're ready, right, Pastor Wendy?
I think we're ready. Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. So once again, April, thanks for being here. And in case some of you don't know April, she has been in the fashion industry, cosmetic world for many years now, and she is an influencer and brand ambassador. Recently, she was working at Ilia for a few years and just decided to branch out on her own, which is a huge entrepreneurial step, and always trying to figure out when the right time is to do that is always difficult. So I commend you for just taking that leap of faith and doing it. And I don't know if we're going to be touching on that topic tonight, but we're excited to just hear from you, about your experiences, your stories. I know when we were last talking, we ran through the idea of just sharing some best practices as an influencer, maybe some top tips you have for branding yourself online. And, one cool thing about April's story at Ilia was that she was responsible for handling influencers. So she was the director of influencers, but at the same time, she is an influencer. So I think it's awesome that she's had that dual role. And I would just love for her to share some insights into that as well, because I know there are some people on this call that are very much involved in social media influencing. So April, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We had such a great time at Equip Her this past April. It was awesome meeting some of you, and welcome to some of the new people. If I haven't met you yet, I'm April Lockhart. I am, as Carrie said, a content creator, as I call it. The word influencer still never feels right? But then I also worked in the beauty space for the last 6 years. As Carrie mentioned, my last role was as the director of influencer and partnerships for the clean makeup brand Ilia Beauty. And then prior to that, I worked at a French skincare brand called Caudalie. And I've just loved the beauty and fashion space. I've always been on the internet in some way. It's been like probably 10 years at least. Little known fact is my career early on started in music. I was doing YouTube videos. My online persona has morphed many times throughout the years. And I am also disabled. I was born with a limb difference. So my left hand isn't like fully formed, but doesn't hurt anything. I've always been born like that. And kind of have found ways to, do things normally throughout my life. And I've never wanted to really wear a prosthetic. So, throughout the years, I've had like different ebbs and flows, I'd say, of talking about my disability online. But about a year and a half ago, I started a series on my channel called Normalizing Disabled Fashion Girlies, just to talk about having a limb difference, being disabled in the fashion and beauty space. So I really wanted it to be something that wasn't like all about my disability, but was like about a passion like anybody else, just through the lens of someone who has a disability. So many legs to my online presence, but I love what I do. I love creating. I love being creative. Every day is different. And I just recently left my job about a month ago to pursue this full time. I never thought, if you'd asked me even 2 years ago, like, would I ever think I'd be able to do this full time financially, even like, absolutely no way. Even though what I was doing for my full-time job was contracts and seeing how much influencers can make and seeing, what they charge and how they operate, I still like could never believe that I could do this for myself. So it's really such a blessing, and God's just like been throughout the whole story, and so I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, I thought I'd talk about today, and Pastor Wendy said, just like jot down questions. Like, what I have to say is not like too long. So I know we want to save at least the last 15 minutes for questions and want this to be conversational. So feel free to chime in. But Carrie and I were kind of talking what's interesting for you guys. And I would love to hear if anybody even wants to chat in, like what you guys do full time for work, just so I know who the audience is. If you guys want to say like what you do, no pressure, obviously. Just so I can get to know you guys better. But what we talked about maybe chatting through was, I'm a very interesting person because I do the opposite on both. I was doing the opposite on both sides. So I was working on the brand side as director of influencer relations, whatever you want to call it, marketing, and then also creating content on the other side, which I think has always been a strength. So what I thought I'd share is 4 tips that I'd want to know as a creator from the brand side, and 4 tips that I'd want as a brand from being a creator or from the influencer side. So cool, an esthetician. I love that. I just got a facial and it actually broke me out really badly. So
I just got one today.
I need the pimple patches too.
I was like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing that I'm getting a facial.
But okay, so the 4 tips that I'd want to know as a creator. So if this is you, if you're creating content online, if you want to start your career in influencing or just building your own online presence, these are the tips that I'd want to know from the brand side, like, or how you want to start working with brands. Like, what do I need to do? I would say 1 is create quality content. Follower count doesn't really matter anymore. People can get caught up in how many followers do I have? Like, am I growing? Brands are now working with micro and nano influencers, even as small as 1,000 followers. Not that 1,000 followers is small, but when I was at even Caudalie and Ilia, we would send products to nano influencers, and some of that, these are the most engaged people. Like, their engagement rates are higher. They have really targeted audiences. They're really connected to their audience. A lot of times, the bigger you get, the less connected you can become to your audience. Like, you're almost out of reach. Of course, it's going to be impossible for you to answer all these people, but those nano influencers are answering their DMs. They have a trusted audience. A lot of times their audience is actually buying stuff that they're recommending. So follower count really doesn't matter, but your content does. So, understanding good lighting. I film like always pretty much in front of a sunlit window. That's where I find my best lighting works. I'll pop a tripod right in front of a window. Lo, your lighting looks great right now. And, to get started, have some posts up, and then you can start reaching out. Oh, nice. She has the Amazon light. I love it. That's so good. We'll have to drop the link to that in the chat. But, have some posts up, even if you have like 9 to 12 posts up that you feel like you worked on that represent the content you want to start creating. I even think that's a good point to start reaching out to brands, because your profile is like your resume in this world. So a brand's going to click on your profile. They're going to look like, do I align with this? Does this person get content? If I send them some products, if I ask them to do a video for me, are they going to understand like how to create a video? Or am I going to have to completely walk them through it? And, is it going to be a risk if I ask them, like if I pay them to do something and it doesn't turn out the way I want? So I think if they see themselves in your profile, like, you know, if they can see themselves in your profile or see something that they would want to work with, they'll be open to working with you. You'd be like shocked how many brands are working with people under 5,000 followers. Number two is, you know your worth and read your contracts, especially with usage. When and where and how long something is being used is really important. So I think, you know, as you are getting started and once you start working with brands, you know, it's really easy to be like super excited. Oh my gosh, this person wants to pay me $500, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. That's a lot of money, which it is. But, you know, when you're signing your life away in perpetuity and you become famous 5 years later and this brand's using your ad on a billboard and you're like, oh man, that kind of sucks. You know, it's good to know what you're getting into. Now, granted, you may not get everything you ask for in a contract. That's okay. You have to like know where to draw the line. But I think a lot of brands assume that, you know, smaller creators aren't reading their contracts. They just want to work with brands. And so I would say just, you know, read through, like understand the basics of a legal contract. You don't have to be a lawyer. I'm not one, but it'll only help you in the long run, and you can charge more for something like that. So, you know, if you're doing a video, but the usage is for 2 years, 5 years, you know, you should be charging for the time period that it's being used. Typically usage is charged monthly, I would say. Number three is being willing to work with a brand and build the relationship. So, you know, along with knowing your worth, I think it's knowing when to be flexible too. So especially when you're first starting out, and especially if it's the first time you're working with that specific brand, you know, you want to build the relationship, be personable. Brands send me things all the time that, you know, they're not asking for anything in return. And if it's a brand that I love and I, you know, want to work with down the line, I'll start mentioning that brand here and there. Organically is what we call, just like genuinely on my channel. And a lot of times that stuff has led to bigger brand partnerships down the line because they see that this is something I'm already authentically mentioning. You know, this is my business and I'm choosing to, you know, present or talk about their product for free or organically, which is a relationship builder in the long term. So I think being willing to work with brands, you know, if it's a brand you like and there's, you know, even if it's like for product at the beginning or whatever it is, I think being flexible in that first time always helps you in the long run. Like, oh, great, look how well this first, you know, partnership went. You know, can we increase the rate this next time, or can we do something bigger, or et cetera, on the next time? And then number four is just being organized. I think, you know, a lot of creators or influencers oftentimes, you know, haven't had real jobs before this. I think like what has made me valuable in working with brands is they always say like, oh, you're so organized. It's like the basics of like knowing how to write an email, you know, addressing someone properly. And I organize everything in Google Drive and label my content, like, you know, so it's not just like sent over email or like crazy unorganized. And I think that goes a really long way with brands. Like I know that when I was receiving content on a brand side, it went such a long way when someone's like organizing something nicely. And then the last one is just like being unique and showing personality. I think there's so many people in this space, like, you know, this goes for many industries, but like there's no one who can be like you, like leaning into your niche. Or, you know, for me, that was like leaning into like my biggest insecurity, which was my disability. And I think we all have an insecurity, and, you know, maybe it's not, we don't always need to talk about that on social media, but I think like, think about your life, think about what makes you uniquely you. And a lot of times like people resonate with that. So those are my tips that I'd want to know as a creator from the brand side. I don't know if anyone has any questions in the chat. Keep them coming. I love hearing what you guys do.
I love those tips, by the way. Those are so good.
Thank you.
Let's see.
I'm just looking at, I think these are all what everyone does.
Yes, I think these are some. Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. We got a realtor, recently retired from a software provider in the automotive industry. an entrepreneur making peanut brittle. That sounds amazing. Wait, I think I missed one here. An expediter at an electronic company, but she did work for Sephora for 10 years, and a licensed cosmetologist. And then we have the esthetician, pastor, and coach. Yeah, good mix up here.
Good.
Very good mix. April, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because you talked about like creating good quality content and like good lighting. So do you have any go-to apps? Or if we're just starting out, like maybe you don't use it anymore, but for like a novice, like that would help us. So we don't look, because sometimes you see those pictures and they're so edited. I'm like, I've seen you in real life and that's not what you look like.
I know, it's so real. Honestly, I try not to edit much, like in terms of like filters. I really truly like my best content is always shot in natural lighting. So like when and where possible, if you have a window, like standing in front of a window is always the best. The light that you had low, the little Amazon light, is a very nice backup. I think it's $13. We'll have to like link it in the chat. That's a great light for when you don't have natural light. I use Visco, which is like a super OG editing app, VSCO. And then I also use the Teza app if I'm trying to like kind of do something fancy, like, a film filter photo or something that's like not to filter my face or anything, but to like make something look vintage or cool, whatever. Those would be the two that I'd say.
And what was that second one? Teza?
Teza. I'll type it in the chat.
Okay.
And then you like Splice for video editing, right?
Yes, I use Splice.
You got me hooked on that.
InShot is also good too. I think InShot is free. Splice is like,
oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like $10 a month or something. But okay, I can hop into the next 4 tips and then we can do questions at the end. Okay, so these are tips that I'd want as a brand. So if you're business owners, if you're entrepreneurs trying to build a product and you're looking to implement influencer marketing strategy or work with influencers, this is what I'd want to know. So treating influencers, treating content creators as business owners in their own right. That's tip number 1. So for many of them, this is their business. I know some of you heard from Jess Bailey, who was speaking on the panel along with me at Last Equip Her. She's been doing this for like 3 years. So this is very much like her business. And now even with her husband, this is both of their business. So taking it seriously is important. If you have a small business or work for a brand, that how it feels to be a small business. So imagine like they feel the same way. They're also a small business. So, when you're asking someone to post, when you're asking them to talk about your product, like think about it as someone asking you, can you send me 100 peanut brittle packages, or can you send me, can you pay me for XYZ? So just thinking of it as an exchange. I know that because we all have social media, in some way, we think of it as like, oh, it's so easy. I can post on my stories, I'll post whatever, I don't care. It's not necessarily the same for them. They have timelines, they have all these projects, on their dockets, they have things to think about. And I'm sure they want to help whenever and wherever they can. So it's just kind of having that ebb and flow conversation and being understanding that this is their brand. Let's see, their platform is their most valuable asset. It's how they make money. So just not thinking of it lightly. I would say number 2 is be understanding with timelines. Again, kind of to the same point, don't ask for things overnight. I would say 2 weeks, if you're working with them on a paid project or something, is a fair timeline to ask for someone to create content, edit it, send it back to you, etc. Number 3 is gifting, which, we call it gifting. I don't know how it's sending them your product, no strings attached, is the best way to build brand love for me. So, obviously it depends on how expensive your product is. If you're selling cars or you're selling, designer bags or something, maybe that case may be very different. But, for most things, like especially in the makeup and beauty space, like cost of goods is so low. Like, the cost of our products could be anywhere from $2 to $7 in actuality. And yes, shipping's expensive, but, thinking about paying all in all, maybe $40 to get someone a bunch of products for them to try it. Don't even ask them to do anything. Just say, hey, enjoy it. If you like it, we'd be thrilled if you shared anything, but no worries. We just ultimately want you to try it. Goes so much further than that way that creator doesn't feel any pressure. They think of you and your brand in a great light. And they'll try it at their own pace. And I guarantee you, if they love the product, if it's a good product, do you believe in it? Like they'll talk about it in a way that feels natural to them. And that will go so much further, obviously, than pressuring them. And then, even if you did do a paid partnership with someone, it would cost you so much more than, just paying for the product. So that's always my like starter tip with brands. And then the last one is, let creators be creative. Again, this is probably maybe not as relevant for this group, but, when you're working at a big brand and they have big budgets like a L'Oreal or a Estee Lauder, and, they're trying to overly brief creators. We want you to say these 3 ingredients and we want you to say this and, et cetera, et cetera. We're all smart enough to know, and we're sniffing out an ad, something that's sponsored, like it doesn't feel authentic. And a lot of times the Instagram or TikTok algorithms also sense that. It ends up like not even really being seen by people or getting pushed through. So letting people think of things in their own unique way. How can I integrate this product? The creators know their channels and their audiences better than anyone. So oftentimes, like if I'm a brand, I would ask a creator to present like a concept to me. Hey, here's the product. How would you talk about it? Would you integrate it into like I've been seeing like all these videos of Skims, and it's like they're working with like cooks and they're like, just like, yeah, I'm wearing Skims, but here's the recipe for today. I'm like, kind of that's like a little far-fetched. I'm like, I don't know how Skims is even really making money off this, but I'm seeing it. So now I want the Skims sweats, and I also like I'm saving the recipe. But things like that, and like unique ways to talk about product where it doesn't feel like, I love this serum because XYZ, stuff like that. Letting creators really do what they do best is my last tip.
Those are good. And wait, we do have a question here in the chat from Lo. She's asking, does it look bad to ask for payment to a big brand when they offer free gift for collab?
No, not at all. I think it's just saying, it's just like all about how you phrase things and making things like an open conversation. It's not phrasing it in a way that's like, I'm offended that you would offer me something. It's more phrasing it in a way that's like, oh, thanks so much. Like, is there an opportunity to partner here? Right now I'm like at capacity, like, or I'm unable to take on like gifted collabs. Like, I'd love to try the product. If that's all you guys can do right now, like would love to try it and test it out over the next few weeks. And if you're interested in partnering, like, let me know, kind of like more that approach, where it's like win-win for them. It's like, if you want to send me the product, great. I can test it on my own time. And if I love it, I'll talk about it. Otherwise, like, if you want to contract me, that's like what I can take on right now. A lot of times I'll blame it on schedule. Like, when this is your business, a lot of times you don't have the capacity to take on things for something that's not worth your time, which is totally fair.
Yeah, that's a good question. And everybody else, feel free to type in any questions you have along the way.
I think Cherie had one maybe
good.
A few minutes ago.
Oh, yes, you're right. Okay. Cherie wanted to know, what are mistakes that people make when they begin a relationship with a brand in terms of building a relationship? Are there some things that stick out to you?
I mean, Cherie, I have no doubt that you are like a pro at building relationships because you're just like a genuinely nice person.
She's amazing.
I think it's like, when you can, it's not necessarily mistakes, but I think what goes above and beyond and makes like a real difference is if you can ever like get coffee with someone. Like, people are so chronically online and like plugged into their email. Like, every time, I'm also not in a major city anymore. I moved to Nashville 2 years ago, but anytime I'm in New York or LA, I reach out to, my brand contacts that I've never met. I don't even know what they look like. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to be in town. I'm going to get coffee. I've loved, I love your brand. I've loved working with you. Like, how can we, just connect? Or even if it's a virtual Zoom, like just, I would love to chat with you guys. So I think if you can ever connect with them face to face, it's so much easier for a brand to fall in love with you, and then they actually remember you, because they don't do that often. And I think it's just being professional too. Again, I have no doubt that you're extremely professional, but just in an email, being short and succinct too. People are getting so many emails every day. My quote unquote pitch typically is just hey, I'm April, I'm a creator. I love your brand and I love this XYZ, whatever it is, this product, this partnership, this campaign you did, this, dress you have, whatever, something specific to that brand, so that they know you're not just copying and pasting this message. The amount of times I've gotten messages at Ilia that were dear other brand, that they just copied and pasted and forgot to swap out Ilia, it would be dear whatever, you can tell when something is just blasted out, just one, it doesn't have to be overly personal, because people don't read either. One liner, I love this about your brand, I would love to find a way to work together. And really people are just clicking through to your social profiles. So you don't have to pitch yourself and why you'd be great for the brand, because, a lot of times people just breeze through, they click on your profile. If you align with them, they'll read the rest of what you have to say, or they'll reply to you. So I think it's making sure that, if it is something that you want to do, working with brands, making sure that you feel your social's in a good place to kind of speak for what you feel you represent, and keeping it short and succinct and personal.
That's really, really helpful, April. That kind of goes along with my question. Is there value in just on your in your feed having just organically things you already like that you just share, so that they can see that, even if it's not paid? Or
yeah,
okay,
absolutely. I think when I was again, I feel I've been online, but I've re-found myself a million times online when I was re-figuring out, what I wanted to focus on in terms of content. This was maybe 2-ish years in COVID now. I was racking my skincare closets, just finding products and making videos on them, or racking my closet for outfits and figuring out new ways to style things. People get caught up in, I have to go out and buy stuff to talk about, or, I have to no brands want to work with me. It's use what you have and just talk about it. That's the best way.
Yeah, I think that going on top of that, and going back to what you were originally said in your intro about your arm, and when you decided to kind of accept and really be transparent about that, I think transparency in content now is actually one of the factors that differentiates influencers, because now we're in such a space that's just saturated almost with influencers, and people are well, how do I become unique? How do I differentiate myself? And I feel transparency is one of those differentiating factors. And I know, you said, you don't have to it doesn't have to be every single photo or every single story you post, but people connect with your stories.
Yeah, totally. And I think talking about the same things, recurring content is great too. Sometimes we get too caught up in, oh, I already posted this a month ago, 6 months ago, or people are going to be annoyed if I'm spamming their feeds. But right. When you guys think about how quickly a scroll is something is gone, don't be afraid. People are not thinking about what you're doing. And, if you had a great video, on an alternative side, if you talk about subjects versus products, if you're giving motivational advice or whatever, that stuff is so relevant to just keep reposting, especially on TikTok. you know, if it worked 6 months ago, like, and it's still relevant, just like repost it. Like, you know, how many times are new people like scrolling on your feed? You know, and I guess that goes for products too, is like, I think the most authentic influencers that we follow, like, you know, they've influenced us on a product because they've talked about it so many different times over the years, like why it's really worked for them. If they're talking about something new every single day, it's like,
That's
wait,
true.
what do you like?
Yeah. And their authenticity for like
Right.
products
Like
is a little bit
lost.
lost. Yeah. No, that's true. And how many brands are you now, you know, the ambassador of or like representing?
I guess that's hard to say. I'm on long-term contracts with maybe like 6 or 7 brands, but you know, a lot is like just one-off campaigns.
Do you feel like there's a sweet spot for, you know, of how much you can actually handle in terms of contracts and what you would recommend?
I think it's like, take it as it comes for you. Like I might work with 6 to 7 brands on like a long-term contract basis, but you know, in a given month, I could work with like 20 different brands on like one-off things. So, you know, it's like taking it at a pace that's like right for you. And I think if you're starting out, like going after brands that you really love, and obviously, you know, the hopes is that you want to work with these brands. So you want a response out of them. Obviously, if you're talking about something, there are brands that I've talked about forever that have never like given me the time of day. And I still talk about them sometimes if I really do love it. But, you know, obviously the brands that eventually do notice me and are working with me and it's becoming more of a long-term thing, of course I'm going to talk more about that versus brands that I'm like, all right, well, I've given you free promotion for like years and you like still don't know I'm here. So I'll talk about the brands that like want to pay attention. But you know, so if you're starting out and there's 3 brands that are answering you that you genuinely love, like work with that, focus on that, you know. Yeah.
Was there a brand that along the way, or kind of maybe like when you first started, you were like, oh my gosh, it would be so cool to work with this brand, and you reached that moment and you remember feeling that moment of like, wow, you know, like I've reached one of my goals?
Probably Free People. I
Yeah.
love Free People. I've shopped Free People since I was like a teenager, and I feel like they've sort of evolved as I've grown too. And I still love their stuff. And so that was one that I was like, whoa, I got a box of stuff from Free People. Like I used to like buy this stuff and when I was in high school.
That's awesome. I love it.
I have a question. Go ahead and type your questions in there, ladies. And even if it's like different than what we're talking about right now, just go for it, please. I love how you said, let creators be creative. What can you give us an example? Because like when you say that, I'm like, absolutely, of course. But like what's an example of like maybe something, the most creative thing that you have ever done to make it really authentic?
Yeah. I think it's like thinking outside the box, because now we're so inundated with ads and what we think an ad should look like. And even sometimes it's hard for me because I've worked on both sides, like as a creator, it's hard for me sometimes to like think outside the box. I'm like, I know exactly what this brand wants. I know I'm going to nail this. Like, and then it turns out feeling like an ad, you know, but because I'm like so close to the briefs that it's like good to think outside the box. I did a campaign for Kate Spade, I think for Valentine's Day, that, you know, they're pretty like open-minded in terms of, you know, here's the product, but if you have any ideas, like throw it out there. And I was like, I want to like set up a photo shoot. I want to film the behind the scenes of me setting up a photo shoot in my living room and then like show the results of this like Valentine's Day photo shoot that my husband helped me with. And it was just like in one of their like heart-shaped dresses, and they had little heart bags and stuff. And we had all these like roses, and it was really fun and pink. And that was probably like my top performing ad for them. And, you know, typically I'm like doing just like a get ready with me video or like an outfit video or something that would be like more typical. And this, I was like, you know what, I want to like try something new. And they like loved that. So I think it's like, it works great for both sides when, you know, you can let creators like think outside the box. And this is like in my space. There are people in the dance space or the music space or the like speaking space. And it's like how, people are buying products and promoting brands in every space. So, how can we like think outside the box?
That's so good. I remember seeing your Instagram stories and you transformed your house, and I was like, oh dear, what you doing?
I'll chat the video.
Yeah. And then, okay, so we have another question from Lo. I constantly get asked to be a part of engagement groups. How do you feel about those? Do they work for you or against you in the long run?
I don't have like a super strong, this is a good question. It's also like a little bit like I'm not super well versed on it either, but like I think for anyone who doesn't know what this is, like, and Lo, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like of how you interpret it, but it's typically like a group of influencers. You'll all send each other your content in like an Instagram chat or something. And you're basically like committing to like and comment on each other's posts so that all of your posts are like, getting traction and look like they have like likes and comments. Basically, it's saying like, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine sort of thing, which isn't like a bad thing. It's like, you do that with your friends, right? Like I see my friends, I'm like, go girl, slay. But I think I did just see, this is funny that you say that because I haven't even thought about that in a minute, but I saw someone from a brand had posted on LinkedIn that they were like, brands really don't like it. Like they notice and they'll like sniff it out. So I don't have like a strong opinion on it. I think when it feels inauthentic, it's not great, but if it's like working for you and it feels like the comments are like genuine, I don't see like harm in it. I don't know. And I feel like I'm pretty well versed on like the platforms that brands can use and stuff. I don't know of a platform that they would be able to like really find out like and say like this is fake. So I think it's like, if you like it, go for it. If you're not vibing with it, just be like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, that's a good question. And we have another one. How many hours does it take to create weekly content about? And do you have an online course?
I don't have an online course. I need to take tips from Melissa Perry on how to create an online course. Actually, I feel like all three of you have online courses, probably Wendy, Carrie, and Melissa. So maybe that'll be my next venture. I would say weekly, it's tough because, like what's considered content? Would it be stories that I'm doing all day? That would be a lot longer, but maybe let's say like just for my Instagram feed and TikTok videos, maybe I'm shooting like 10 hours a week or something. I try to batch shoot. So, like I'm saying with the lighting, like if there's a good lot, I'll look at the weather for the week and, I don't know what everyone's schedule is like, of course. When I was working full time, I was beholden to my schedule a lot more. But now if I can, I'll try. If it's a sunny day, I have lighting, I have nothing to do, I'll say like, okay, this is a batch content day for me. And I'll try to film, 3, 4, 5 videos if I can, and then post those like throughout the week or next week. And I save things up over time that I'm like reposting, especially with videos. So I would say if you can batch shoot, if even for me, it's probably more like 2 days a week that I'm doing it. And then the other days, I'm in my sweatpants and I'm editing and I'm posting the stuff where I'm looking nice.
Love that.
Sorry, go ahead. You ask it.
No, I was just there was another question. So go ahead, finish your sentence.
She said, do you use an online content software like Buffer to post? I don't, but I have used it for brands like way back when. If it's easier for you, like use it for sure.
What is a software like Buffer?
I think it would be like to schedule out posts. So if you wanted to sit down for a couple hours and type out your posts and say, this is going to post Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is going to post. I feel like with my stuff, there's too many little like I want to tag all the brands and I want to pick my cover photo. And that can be kind of hard to do in some of those platforms. So I end up like doing it live, but I think it can be smart to use it.
And is there a number of posts you post daily or like a number you don't, like you have that rule to
Honestly,
yourself?
like, I feel like I'm slacking, like, but if I would recommend it to you, I would try to post at least once a day. I mean, TikTok, like, algorithm recommends you post like 3 times a day on TikTok. It's insane. I think, like, be realistic with yourself. Like, if you're not posting at all right now, you're not going to be posting 3 times a day. I do this full time now, and I still try to post like once a day. And there's periods of 4 days, like 5 days that go by and I haven't posted. And it can become like daunting, I think, too. So, like, making sure you're keeping some fun in it. But if you can, like, once a day, and don't be afraid to like repurpose things. If you have a plethora of content and you can differentiate, go for it. Like, if you can post unique stuff on TikTok and Instagram, go for it. I'm assuming a lot of people can't, like, repurpose stuff on your reels that's on your TikTok. You can post it on YouTube shorts, like all of that short form video stuff. You can be like everywhere, and it only helps you.
And then we have another question that says, I've had a couple of influencers ask for my work. She does balloon styling and is an event planner in exchange to promote me. What are the benefits of having an influencer promote me? Is there anything I should have in my contract to make sure I get the most of my, promotion for my work? Get the most promotion for my work.
Yeah, I think there's definitely benefit in it. It's like finding the right person. And I know a lot of times, you have to, like, of course, balance that this is your business and you can't, like, just be doing a ton of stuff for free. But so that's why I think it's like waiting it out for maybe the right person that seems aligned with what you do. Like, you can see yourself really doing something for them. I mean, and if it doesn't excite you, like, don't do it. But, if it's someone that you're like, wow, I like what they do, I like following them. Like, I think back to what I was saying is, it's like, it's their business too. I think if they want to work with you and they're reaching out, sometimes people can be turned off by that. Like, brands can be like, if they're like DMing you or whatever, but I think that really shows that they want to work with you. Like, if they're coming to you as a small business owner and saying, like, this is what I envision happening, like, hear them out too and make sure it feels like co-collaborative. But I guess I don't know, obviously, all about your business and how much you would typically charge for something like this, but I think it's just getting an understanding from them of, like, yeah, like, well, what do you propose, kind of thing, and not maybe asking for XYZ, like, I want 1 post and 2 stories and this and this and this. It's like maybe asking them, like, yeah, like, I'm open to it, like, what do you propose, like, or what are you thinking? And I'm a small business owner, like, I would love to hear you out. And I think if it doesn't feel like a fit, like, obviously you don't have to do it. But I do think, if they're connected into a specific city that you're working in, like, their friends may want to work with you, and other people would see, I would say, just making sure that their audience is like the right people.
Ooh, that's good.
Great.
Yeah, that's really good. Because, yeah, if you're speaking to the wrong audience, then that's not going to benefit, it's not going to be mutually beneficial. Not going to be, yeah, that's really good.
That's good. Does anybody have any other last questions?
I was just going to say, like, one last thing would be, I'm sure, I have no idea anything about your business, but I know sometimes it can be tough to, like, find businesses like that, even if you wanted to. Like, if I was going to type, if I was looking for balloon styling or an event planner in Nashville, and I'm going to Google that, like, there's probably so many random things that come up. Like, it can be hard to find someone. And, I'm sure a lot of us can acknowledge, like, we find people like that through influencers. So if I saw, my friend saying, I used this for my kid's birthday party or my baby shower or whatever it is, like, I would probably be like, oh, if I have stuff coming up, I would, like, screenshot it and say, like, oh, that's great. Or ask them, like, how'd you like working with this person? So I think it's, like, a great way to hear about people. So as long as it's the right person, I would say, it's great. And you feel like it's worth your time. It's not going to be like a week-long project for you or something, in terms of, like, I guess the balloons, maybe the event planning will probably be further than a week, but just, like, weighing how much of your time is worth it.
April, how do you, like, if you just get a DM from a brand you don't know, what would, for you, like, ideally, like, what would that approach look like to where you'd be like, okay, let me take a look. It's worth my time to at least investigate. How could we approach, like, how could we word that best for you?
To an influencer?
To an influencer, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like, hey, we love what you do. I think the same thing goes for the reverse of what I was saying is like, if you're going to pitch a brand, like say something personal, I think brands of all people can be very impersonal. Like, I'm like, a brand will say, I love what you do, but I'm like, have you ever looked at me before? Or like, and so I think it goes such a long way when you're like, I saw this video, that you did, and I really resonated with it or whatever. So, Nikki, if that for you, I'm sure you're probably not going to like outreach people to give your services for free, but like, if you said, I loved this, shower that you planned, and then the video you posted about it and stuff, like as a creator, that goes a really long way to feel like you really watched my video. Like brands don't often do that. But I think at the end of the day, it has to be a product or a brand you resonate with. So as the brand, it's probably like knowing your audience too. Like, for example, like I'm trying to think of some brand that would be like very off brand for me, like it's just thinking about like, you're not going to approach an influencer and be like impersonal.
I like that. Be personable, be specific. Like, I really love this video. That's very, very helpful.
That's great. Well, good. If there are no other questions, I'm assuming there aren't any because I haven't seen any come in the last few minutes, then we can just wrap up. And I want to thank you again, April, for your time and everyone's time in being here tonight. And just a reminder, if you liked tonight, and April was one of our stars at our Equip Her conference this year, and she shared so much valuable information there. So this was a very good glimpse of that. And if you enjoyed tonight, then we would love to see you at Equip Her conference next year in April. And again, we would love to see you next month with our discussion with Karina. So just type in the chat or email us, follow us on Instagram, shoot us a DM, and we will send you the info. Pastor Wendy, do you have any last words you'd want to share?
Ladies, just as a reminder, these Zooms are not exclusive just for the women that have come to Equip Her. It is for the community of women that are kingdom-minded and love Jesus and just believe that, listen, when we follow Jesus, we are the most creative people on this planet, and we want to learn and just glean from one another. So
yeah, help each other.
Free, yes, to invite your friends. What a great introduction. Maybe they couldn't make the conference, but this would be a great way to kind of introduce them. And I know, even though my space is a little bit different, how much I learn and glean from every single woman that talks, and just hearing about their journey, that is just so encouraging. So I'm excited for Karina, and we're in
July,
June.
Tentatively July 27th is the next one. We would love to see you guys there. If you don't know Karina Cook, you can look her up on Insta. She is great. She really was wonderful at Equip Her conference. So I'm excited for her to share her story. It was very inspirational.
It was extremely inspirational. Yeah, we have a lot to learn. And then in August, she's on the call right now. In August, Cherie Kane Jones, also one of the stars from Equip Her conference. And she's just always absolutely incredible and encouraging. So we have a great lineup coming up this summer. And just remember to please feel free to invite friends or anyone that you know that is ready to just grow their business, start something new, be that entrepreneur, be that business woman. I was gonna say business lady. That sounded really weird. But be the boss that they know God created them to be. So very excited.
Thank you, ladies, again. Thanks, April.
Of course. Thank you guys for joining. I know for some it's late, but really enjoyed this. If you have any other questions, feel free to find me on Instagram or shoot me an email, but it was great connecting with you all.
Same. Have a great night, everybody. See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.